Hello and welcome to the Shephard Defence podcast. I'm Georgia Lewis, and in this special episode we're taking a deep dive into the evolving role of space in defence. Today's conversation is brought to you in partnership with Amazon's Project Kuiper, a low Earth orbit satellite network that's creating new possibilities for secure, resilient communications across the battlespace. Joining me is Rick Freeman from Kuiper Government Solutions. Rick, first of all, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Georgia. It's good to see you.
So today we're going to explore what space as a service really means for defence customers, how speed and accuracy are being redefined, and what it takes to create a truly connected force in today's operational environments. Let's start by setting the scene. How do you define space as a service for government customers today?
So again, thank you, Georgia, for having me. From our perspective, we define space as a service in satcom as a business model where companies can access and use satellite services on a subscription or pay-as-you-go basis instead of owning and operating their own satellite infrastructure. The model democratizes access to space by offering services like satellite data, launch capabilities, ground station access, and communications, making it more affordable and less risky for customers to utilize space-based assets. Now, this is a fundamental shift we understand in the acquisition process because it moves the government from ownership to outcomes. Traditionally, government bought hardware and hoped it lasted. Now, that model certainly creates a couple of problems. One, you're locked into day one technology when threats, of course, are evolving continuously. And two, acquisition leaders are forced to procure technology, satellites, transponders, and the like, when what mission commanders really need is assured connectivity with specific performance characteristics. So space as a service tends to turn that equation on its head, where the operator has access to a suite, a portfolio of capabilities, if you will. And this breaks down capability silos because you're no longer tied to service-specific satellites or proprietary ground infrastructure. So you can architect for joint and combined operations from day one. So we focus in on a number of those service types, including satellite data, for example, as a service, providing access to satellite-generated data such as Earth observation imagery, space domain awareness, space situational awareness, and various other capabilities that are useful to the warfighter. SATCOM as a service is another capability where we offer end-to-end communication services, including terminals and access to satellite networks. And finally, services like payload hosting, where customers can place their own sensors or payloads on a service provider satellite. This is just a few of the examples of how space as a service, we believe, will redefine how the government buys this capability in the future.
Okay, so with the pace of change with technology, it means that you guys at Amazon can do the hard work in terms of the tech work, keeping up with everything that changes, while the military organizations can focus on what they're doing best.
That's the idea, Georgia.
Now, what does speed and accuracy really mean in today's operational context?
Well, from my experience, both as a warfighter and in the modern day business, the kill chain itself has evolved. In those days, it was measured in terms of hours and days, but with the advent of hypersonic systems, the threat profile has changed and in fact has collapsed that timeline in some cases to minutes and in some cases even to seconds. So we have to operate under the theory of the speed of moving data at the speed of relevance. Compression of the kill chain in SATCOM refers to strategies and technologies like using artificial intelligence, open standards, and advanced sensors to accelerate the time it takes to find, fix, track, target, engage, and assess an enemy via satellite communications. This acceleration is critical in a competitive environment where speed is the key advantage and accuracy is the key outcome that we have to provide in the modern warfare environment. Some examples of speed focus include enabling real-time command and control. For networked battlefield systems and remote weapon systems, any latency can have severe consequences on mission success. The military needs to seamlessly communicate across land, air, sea, and space, coordinating troop movements, vehicle maneuvers, and remote drone operations. We focus on how we support time-sensitive missions. This is especially crucial for time-sensitive tasks like intercepting incoming threats or coordinating precision strikes across a broad military operation. We also focus on how we accelerate data-driven strategies. Initiatives like the U.S. Department of Defense's Joint All-Domain Command and Control strategy require high-speed networks to process and analyze data across all military domains in near real time using artificial intelligence and cloud-based computing. But from an accuracy standpoint, we also focus in on how can we ensure precision navigation and targeting. Systems like GPS rely on extremely precise timing to provide accurate positioning. Any error can lead to significant positional inaccuracies for forces on the ground, ships at sea, or guided munitions. And in a space where accuracy is everything and delivery of kinetics is everything, it is absolutely essential that we be accurate in that regard. We focus also on guaranteeing data integrity and data security. The DoD comms require various encryption techniques to prevent intercepting and decrypting sensitive info. So maintaining data integrity is also critical in preventing exploitation of cyber vulnerabilities. So there are several mechanisms that we focus on regarding speed and accuracy. And as you can see, it's very important.
Okay, yep. So I guess in short, it's about making the right decisions in real time as fast as possible, because if you can't do that with the speed and the accuracy, yeah, as you were saying, the consequences can be quite disastrous. Now, moving on to connectivity, which is just one piece of the puzzle. What else has to sit on top of those connectivity links to make everything work?
Yeah. So, the focus there is really in three areas as we define it. There's the enabling and core layer, which is the focus on how do we secure multi-orbital mesh network transport back key management and identity-driven access across domains. That's the network aspect of the enabling layer. The second is the applications layer that overlays the network or is connected through the network. So we're talking network C6ISR and other mission-critical applications that are service agnostic and interoperable by design. They produce the common operational picture, or the single pane of glass, as I like to call it, multi-intelligence correlation, fires coordination, all of the capabilities that the multi-domain and joint force will need is resident in that applications layer. And finally, that third layer is the command and control layer, which represents connectivity or artificial intelligence at the edge. This is where cloud native capabilities meet the tactical reality. Edge processing nodes, running machine learning models, automated data flow, pushing relevant info without manual tasking, or in some cases without humans in the loop, which can slow or expand, the time in the kill chain. So the true power is realized when the enabling layer, which is the multi-orbital mesh network, the applications layer, which is the C6ISR applications, and the command and control layer are all working in concert. The sensors at the tactical edge capturing images, the edge AI doing the automated target recognition, the intelligence being routed over the Leo backbone with zero trust principles, the cloud fusion engine correlating with signal intelligence and historic patterns, and finally decision quality info being delivered to the commander thousands of miles away, all of that being done in a compressed time frame of minutes to seconds. That's the goal. That's the intent of Joint All-Domain Command and Control. And certainly it is the intent of organizations like Kuiper and our partners around the world to deliver that capability.
Great. And, I love the analogy of the single pane of glass. It's a really nice sort of way to express what you're providing, what you're doing in a way that everyone can understand. And I guess from the end user's point of view, that single pane of glass concept must be really helpful for them.
It does. We try to establish that mindset to make sure we understand the need for integration, interoperability, and coordination.
Now, why is there such urgency these days around creating a more digital connected battle space?
Yeah. So, well, the urgency is there. It stems from a need for faster decision making, as we've discussed, information superiority, and the ability to counter rapidly evolving threats from near peer competitors. Modern warfare, which includes sophisticated technologies and contested domains, has made disconnected domain-specific systems slow and vulnerable. So we focus on urgency from a number of perspectives, shrinking timelines. I'll repeat the importance of that. In the past, the cycle from intelligence gathering to target engagement could take days. In the connected battle space, we have to shrink that timeline to minutes, and we use automation. artificial intelligence, and resilient networks to deliver that real-time information to warfighters, countering advanced threats. As we stated earlier, the speed of modern missiles, unmanned systems proliferation, and cyber attacks means that military forces need to sense and respond at machine speeds. And that requires ever increasing levels of artificial intelligence to enable that. Bridging data silos, the military Internet of Things connects sensors, data streams, and devices across all warfighting domains, sea, air, land, space, and cyber, to create that common operating picture. Enhanced data processing, this data deluge from countless sensors will continue to grow, and it's truly unmanageable, Georgia, by humans alone. A connected network allows artificial intelligence and machine learning to rapidly process and analyze data, covering it into and converting it into actionable intelligence for commanders. So this concept of urgency is all centered on that connected battle space, that seamless connected network that allows for coordinated action between military branches and allied partners, which is an essential requirement for complex military campaigns of the future.
Now, just moving on to, I guess, getting buy-in and engagement with everyone involved, because, I mean, the technology, it can be overwhelming. It can seem new and strange to people who have not been exposed to it. So with all these amazing advancements happening in space, do you see military leaders shifting their views about what an ideal solution looks like? Are military leaders getting on board with this? And, have their views shifted as to what success is going to look like with all this technology?
Well, I'll say it's shifting. Certainly has not shifted. It's a very broad enterprise, as you can imagine, and change takes time. But we are seeing military leaders adapting to space as a warfighting domain. Firstly, by focusing ever increasing resources on deterrence, resilience, and domain awareness, building distributed architectures, integrating space and cyberspace operations, and developing new training and operational strategies. The focus is on, from the standpoint of deterrence and resilience, the top priorities are to deter aggression and build resilient systems that can take the first punch, as we say, that can withstand attacks and maintain constant awareness of orbital activities. Building of distributed architectures instead of, again, relying on single points of failure, a significant concern of mine and the rest of our team. Leaders are focusing on creating networks of satellites around ground systems and that can work together and are compatible with allies to ensure continuous operations. So interoperability is a critical focus for the warfighters, and we see continuously that mindset shifting into more of a hybrid commercial and government capability because we are able to innovate at speeds far greater than the current the defense acquisition process will allow. So that integration of space and cyberspace, the Space Force views this integration as inextricable, that they're inextricably linked between space and cyberspace, focusing on cyber survivability of its space systems and defending its critical cyber terrain across all segments. And finally, we do see a shift, a slow integration of more commercial technologies. The military is looking now in greater terms to the commercial sector for solutions like satellite servicing, debris removal, space traffic management, and other technologies that we continue to see as we go forward. So it's happening, Georgia, certainly not at the speed that we would like, but we continue to partner with the government, both U.S. and international, to make sure that we're bringing the right technologies for the right mission.
Yeah, that long education process must be a really key thing for you. Just you mentioned allies too. So it's not just a matter of working with the DoD or with just the American Armed Forces. This is about making sure that international forces and allies cooperate and are all on the same page with these new technologies.
Yeah, absolutely. We see this as a joint force and a joint collaboration among our allies as well.
Now, we've already touched on this a bit already with AI and machine learning. Obviously, this is impacting every industry we can possibly think of, and your industry is clearly no exception. What do you see as the most practical value today with AI and machine learning?
Well, from a defense satcom perspective, there are many capabilities it enables, for example, autonomous network management, real-time threat detection, optimized resource utilization in military communications. The AI is allowing us to reduce the need for manual intervention. This is a constant in the concept of how we compress the time from threat to engaging of that threat and reducing the need for manual intervention in that loop, thus ensuring that critical information reaches military personnel swiftly and securely, even in contested environments. And AI is definitely assisting in that regards. It provides enhanced resilience and security, autonomous operations. For example, AI-enhanced systems reduce human intervention in the communications process, enabling more timely information transmission. From the standpoint of anomalies in interference detection, machine learnings in SATCOM systems can be trained to detect and classify, for example, signal disruptions for noise, jamming, and other RF impairments in real time, allowing for rapid implementation of corrective measures. Proactive cybersecurity. Again, AI provides advanced threat detection by monitoring communications traffic across the SATCOM network, looking for malicious activity, detecting irregularities, and automatically triggering security protocols to protect sensitive military data from cyber attacks and jamming signals. This is the model that AI, I believe, will inform in future military operations.
I think too with AI, there's a lot of fear mongering again across all industries about how it's going to replace all the humans and there's going to be no need for people to do jobs anymore. It's interesting where you mentioned that AI can take away some of those manual processes. So is this more about, it's not about replacing people, getting rid of people, it's about people being deployed in the best way they possibly can be?
Absolutely. They focus more on the strategic operational environment, and AI does the tactical processing, providing the warfighters with greater space situational awareness, by rapidly processing and fusing data from all of these sources that the sensors will afford, satellite imagery, signals, other sensor data. AI simply helps commanders gain a more complete and timely understanding of the battle space. That's the key. Space situational awareness, space domain awareness, to ensure they make better decisions with more timely and relevant information.
Okay, great. So reports of the demise of human soldiers and human leaders is entirely premature.
Absolutely agree.
Good to know. Now, for acquisition and program leaders, what's a smart first step towards this new model?
There's an ongoing statement that I've heard several times in the military, and it's very, I think, appropriate for this time, and it is to exploit what we have. This is the military's model, is to exploit what we have, buy what we can, and build only what we must. To truly enable a space as a service, as we opened with, acquisition professionals are trying to focus on prioritizing smaller, faster, and more flexible contracts that focus on performance and results rather than traditional system development. Key actions include establishing clear performance-based requirements, using agile acquisition strategies, and fostering strong industry partnerships and ensuring program stability. So the shift needs to be on service-based contracts, focusing on acquiring the service, not just the asset. The more we focus on applications and not the widget, the better, I think, industry can perform. So by the government focusing on defining clear performance requirements and use documents like statements of work and performance work statements, that incentivizes speed and performance and accountability in contracts. And I think that is a significant step toward this new model of space as a service. There's an existential disconnect, Georgia, between the time it takes for the military to procure a system and the time that industry can innovate. And what we're trying to do is bridge that gap by bringing these services to the warfighter in that space as a service model, so there's less need to build it and they can focus more on buying it as a service and focus more on the mission. That's the important outcome of this. It is warfighter readiness, ensuring they have the most modern and up-to-date technologies that we can provide.
Okay, and finally, paint us a picture. What does the future look like in 5 years? Just get your crystal ball out and have a gaze into the next 5 years.
Yeah, well, from the standpoint of the Joint Force, there are a number of things that I see happening, and there's a reason that I'm saying these things. Number one, I think you will continue to see the proliferation of connected sensors. Every platform, and the unit will have broad sensor connectivity into the broader network. Multi-orbit, multi-band, future SATCOM systems will seamlessly integrate capabilities from different satellite orbits in GEO, MEO, and LEO, and across multiple frequency bands to ensure global coverage, flexibility, and continuity of service. The ubiquity of drone technology and unmanned systems will continue, many of which will have beyond line of sight requirements that require sophisticated data integration to manage them and deploy them properly. AI-enabled courses of action for commanders, with courses assessed based on the massive data sets that they will have to process. I look for intelligent constellation management, where AI will automate the complex task of coordinating the tens of thousands of satellites in mega constellations. It will optimize resource allocation, scheduling, link management, space situational awareness, etc., and adapt to changing demands as we grow the constellations. I fully expect global connectivity to be the critical key where because operations are increasingly global, as you well know, requiring seamless communication, regardless of location. SATCOM is critical and will remain critical for connecting dispersed units and enabling logistics and sustainment across vast distances. And the reason I say this, and in the final few minutes, I really wanted to kind of highlight the importance of the force structure as it will evolve over time. And if you look at many of the aspects of today's defense force structure, for example, multi-domain operations is key. What is multi-domain operations? For the joint force, it's the synchronization and integration of U.S. and allied military and non-military activities across all domains: sea, air, land, space, and cyber. This is an enormous undertaking that will require incredible amounts of data and management and proliferation of data and management and coordination across multiple disparate forces to be able to achieve the outcomes. If you think about the concept in the Marine Corps and the Navy of expeditionary advanced base operations, for example, this is where warfare will employ mobile, low-signature expeditionary forces from a series of austere, temporary locations around the world without infrastructure, without the enjoyment of fiber lines or anything of that nature, because they are deployed into these remote areas with no infrastructure to conduct sea denial or support sea control or enable fleet sustainment. How do you connect them? How do you keep them enabled? How do you organize and supply them? It will require ever-increasing amounts of connectivity to do so. Distributed maritime operations is another example where naval forces will disperse units over larger areas within the theater of operations to make it harder for an adversary to detect and target Navy units. So we will spread also Navy sensors and weapons across a wider array of ships and aircraft so as to reduce the fraction of the Navy sensors and weapons that could be lost if that ship were damaged. So we're talking about millions of square miles of ocean that we will expand and disaggregate our technologies and using longer range weapons, unmanned vessels, unmanned aircraft. The Air Force is thinking similarly with the concept called agile combat employment, where strategic basing will be disaggregated to minimize the damage to any one area of the military apparatus. By disaggregating and decentralizing, we increase the likelihood of success, but we also increase the logistics footprint and the need for greater coordination. All of these force structure concepts will require enormous amounts of connectivity, collaboration, and coordination. And that's really what the future need for all of this connected battle space is going to be. We have to be smarter, we have to be faster, we have to be more agile. And these technologies, I think, are going to enable us to do that, Georgia.
One last little point is interesting how you mentioned, along with land, air, sea, and also cyber. I think that's going to be the big thing in the future is cyber attacks as a form of warfare. And I guess with this technology, this could only help the US and its allies do better in that regard.
I fully agree. And the more we are able to recognize this all-domain construct that space is a critical construct, all of our sea, air, land, and cyber capabilities have to work in concert to truly create joint force effectiveness.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for your time today. That's all we've got time for. That's it for this episode of Shephard Defence Podcast. A big thank you to Amazon's Project Kuiper for making this discussion possible, and also for your time today, Rick. Thank you very much.
Georgia, it's great to see you. Thank you.
And to learn more about Project Kuiper, Amazon's satellite broadband network, links will be in the show notes, or you can head to shepherdmedia.com/news. Until next time, thanks for listening.